Hey, buddy.
Yo, brother, you hear me?
Yep, I hear you. Do you hear me?
I can. What
Good.
is up? I love the background there, brother.
Yeah, I know. I've got the Arnold, all the comics up on the wall.
I love it. I love it, brother. That's awesome. I've done my fair share of collecting and stuff like that. You remember Peter?
Hi, Peter.
Yeah.
Can you guys send me the link to the document? I looked over it this weekend, but I'm having a hard time tracking it down. I know it was a Google Doc.
It's in the. Let me just.
Was it in the Skype you sent me?
In the Skype. I can send it again, or.
Oh, here it is. Nope, I'm good.
And basically, brother, it's just going to be. I'm going through that stuff and just making sure that you going to ask those questions. I just wanted you to kind of think about them.
Yep, I did. I've done some work on this already, and I've actually got a press release I've been playing around with that probably would be something worth sharing with you guys before it goes live too, I would assume.
Heck yeah, brother. That's what this is all about. I want to make sure that we get enough information from you. We understand. As I said, we've got Peter in the room. I'm going to be kind of talking through everything. He's going to be the one really writing this and putting it out for you.
Okay, and you guys have got this recording too?
It's recording right now. We are live and recording.
Okay, let me send you through Skype the press release. It's still draft. I haven't edited it yet, but I'm gonna go shut my door real quick. Can you hang on 1 second?
Yeah, no worries. God, the fucking echo in here is horrible. I'm saying for us.
All right.
Boom, I got the press release and I will download it and get all that other stuff rocking and rolling. But yeah, man, let's just we'll kick this off and, kind of go through the questions with you and, you and I can talk it out.
Okay.
If I feel that we need a little bit more info or Peter needs a little bit more info, we can kind of, go from there. Because this is really, we want to kind of get enough information with two separate articles that are going to give value to someone reading it that we're actually then going to go through our process to be able to leverage and things of that nature.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
All right, I'm good.
So, again, man, let's just kick it off. How do you define AdSum to other people?
AdSum's really the only place. So coming from as an online advertiser, as someone who owns a brand that's selling products online, AdSum's the only place that I know of that exists where other brand owners all gather, and then where they're put in the limelight, where they are put on a pedestal, and then the surrounding industry provides to them and caters to them and provides support and services. So we're the only conference that I'm aware of where a company that's selling products direct to consumers is put in a position where they're surrounded by everybody that makes them successful. Because
now, their own products, or are they licensed products?
They can be licensed products, okay. Their own products. They could be drop ship products. It could be any of the above, okay. As long as they are facilitating some sale direct to consumer, and it's traditionally a physical product. Although there is still some value in content for digital product companies as well. Okay. But it's the owner of the brand. It's the owner. Some people call them offers, but I like to use the word brand because that's the brand is who is catered to, and around them are the fulfillment companies, manufacturing companies, customer service companies, affiliate networks, affiliates, chargeback companies, processing, credit card processing companies. Everything that someone needs to achieve success in their business is one networking conversation away at AdSum.
It's like a one-stop shop kind of gathering.
It is. It's every other online conference, like Affiliate Summit, Traffic and Conversion, Affiliate World, like all those other shows, the podcast, conferences, like all those other shows focus on just one small facet. And usually it's the marketing side of things, or it's might just be the content. We focus more on the operations and on the strategy of the business and the success of the business.
So that kind of goes into our next question, which is what makes AdSum better or different from similar events?
Well, we're the only event where if you own a brand, you're actually the target audience. Every other event out there, you're not the target audience. It's the marketer, the agency, the affiliate. It's maybe the content producer. But it's all so much of internet marketing and conferences has been focused on affiliates, pubs, content providers, and this is not that. We focus on the back end owner of the brands, the operator, the person who at the end of the day is financially at risk for its success and its failure. Okay. And the reason why that's been so important to me is because it's from their pocket the rest of internet marketing gets paid. The rest of the industry, manufacturing, fulfillment, customer service, all of those companies get paid by one person, the brand client that's actually behind the shipping of the products and the strategy of that mission of the mission of their business.
Nice. You have a question?
Yeah, I was just, would you say then that one of the primary objectives of AdSum is to create a win-win scenario for those people who are taking all the risk? Because that's the thing, right? Like you said, everything, it's essentially like a trickle down. Like fulfillment centers aren't going to get paid if there's no one to pay them, right?
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
I don't know your thoughts. Maybe if you want to give some examples of like win-win scenarios that you've seen that I could use for this.
Absolutely. So you hit the nail on the head. So the industry, it's a win for this. The event is a win for service providers, manufacturers, like the surrounding companies in the industry, because we're the only conference that puts all of their prime audience, their prime candidates, targets, their prospects in one location. And it's a win for the audience because they don't have to go do a bunch of site visits or conduct a ton of interviews like all around the place if they say, for instance, they want to change their customer service or if they want to find a new manufacturer. They can go to one location and they can actually hear from other people who are using those companies, because only companies that are coming to the event, they have people there. Like that's their clientele. We have a very strict cross-promotion policy with the event. So people who sponsor the event, who provide a service to the industry, they have to invite their client base to the event. And we do that across 50, 60 companies. So because their target audience is all the same. And even if it's from a competitive perspective, like I've got 5 or 6 customer service companies, the way that this works is they all solicit their customers because I mandate that. It's not just one company and then the competition's like, well, I'm not going to say that. Buddy. You either promote the event or you don't get invited. And if you don't,
I like that. We had an event where we're helping them get clients in as well. And we're like, hey, you need to use the speakers need to either promote the event or they ain't speaking at the event.
Yeah.
And they had a hard time forcing that issue. I'm going, wait a minute, really? Yeah. You're getting a platform of speaking. You won't even take the time out to be able to promote this event.
Yep. The event in of itself is, I'll pat myself on the back. It's a great marketing piece. It's like what emailers do. Emailers are exchanging, leads back and forth, and they're doing joint ventures and cross collaboration. It's very similar in the same way. The entire event, it started with the nucleus of my own audience. There was a mastermind group called the Continuity Council that grew and grew and grew and grew. And then when we did the first AdSum last year, we added 2 of the biggest CRMs in the space, and they emailed all of their customers, and so then we had 300 people show up, as well as 30 or 40 other companies that were soliciting the event and promoting the event, because they all had the same target audience. And it's really the only fair way to do it. And it's a smart way, because something like this has never existed before. There's no way to get advertisers or brand owners together like this without some type of cross promotion like this. It didn't occur before me, and it probably won't ever occur after me, because of the aspect of that cross promotion and starting from a nucleus of big time brand owners from the beginning.
So, I look at this, man. You're bringing the right people together. You're telling them exactly what they need to be able to get there and be involved. How do you actually once they're there, they're all together, how do you make sure they involve themselves, communicate with each other to be able to achieve these levels, other than just putting information out there? Do you guys have anything specific that, really goes, here's a gamification of it or something of that nature, you know?
So this is what I'm really excited about with the actual physical event itself. It is I put together an anti-trade show trade show. So what I mean by that is I hate booths and banners. I hate the meat markets, the big giant audience halls of nothing but just people that are trying to sell you. So we don't have that.
Here at Austin.
So we don't have that. Like, what we do is it's more like a cocktail party that lasts 3 days long, where there's opportunities for people to be able to network in the restaurants in the facility. We take over all of Aspen, so there's no other events that go on. So literally, like, we bought the richest town in the country just before high tourist season, and all these internet entrepreneurs and millionaires take over. And it was done in a very specific way because we wanted a small enough city, and it's only 4 blocks by 4 blocks. Right. So it's like just a small area, and we take over 3 of the main hotels, and everyone's constantly bumping into each other through the course of the whole weekend. We start off the evening on Friday night with a giant burlesque show. We've got a big, what we call the Tycoon Saloon. We've got this big giant party basically to get everything started. That kind of sets the mood, that gets everyone to kind of relax. People are coming up into altitude, so giving them some time to imbibe a little libation and kind of relax a little bit.
Yeah, whet the appetite.
Exactly what they need. And then on Saturday we have content during the day. We've got professionally paid speakers that are sharing very pertinent information for these brand owners, talking about video marketing, talking about Amazon marketing, branding, some things that many of them aren't doing very well, if at all. And
LinkedIn marketing over here if you need it.
Yeah, LinkedIn marketing. There we go. Maybe we should talk about that. Maybe we get you in there for some of that for sure. I didn't even contemplate it, but that makes total sense. So that's what we do on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we divide up, and it's basically like one giant mastermind, but all done in a small scale. So we take much of the content from Saturday and we break up into smaller war rooms. So the people who are presenting, most of the time when you have a presentation, the audience is totally mute at the end of it because there's 300 people around. They're kind of, they're a little intimidated about talking and asking a question. They don't want to look foolish. Mm-hmm. So we came from a background of a mastermind. Right. The core concept of the Continuity Council was these round robins, these war rooms where people would share stories. They would share their war stories. And it's kind of like in Game of Thrones, like Vaes Dothrak. Like, you've got all of the Dothraki all come, they set down all their weapons, and then they have war council, like in that city where you can't kill anybody, you're not competitors, you set everything down and you work through, you learn from each other and teach and that sort of stuff. So Sunday is all about the war rooms. So we'll have a bunch of breakout rooms all set up with U-shaped tables. And then the topics and the facilitators will either be the speakers from the previous day or sponsoring companies that enable some aspect of that topic for success moving forward. So on Sunday, we've got a bunch of content that's all war rooms, and I think that's a huge appeal. I got a number of people said last year they really missed that, so we brought it back. That was our core thing that we'd done for years and years leading up to the event, and it was auspiciously missing because we went to a panel format and just trying different things, and we got a lot of feedback that, man, Nate, I really missed the war rooms. Can you bring them back? So now we're bringing them back.
You guys usually have in the upwards of 300 plus people there, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So 2 things real quick that stuck out for me, just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on. One, it's a big differentiating factor is like TNC. I think it was, I believe the first time I met you was at either the email deliverabilities or survival party
yes.
after TNC. And that's one of the most frustrating things. Like, you can't walk anywhere during TNC in the hotel without getting bombarded by people at booths, right? So it's a big differentiating factor in my mind.
Yep.
The second thing, and I'm just curious to see what your feedback on this is the fact that you have paid speakers, because this is a response that I've received when talking to people about different events, which is, oh, I'm so tired of going to events that have paid speakers that are just talking at me from the stage, right?
Yep.
even if they deliver great content, like, have you gotten feedback around, maybe differentiating as well and saying, hey, look, none of the speakers are paid to be here. They're here to deliver value to help propel your business forward, right? Help conventions because they know it's going to come full circle instead of, oh, I'm collecting a $20,000 check or whatever. Right?
So that's an interesting concept. So I have one speaker that I've paid, but in essence we're doing a little bit of a barter because he's performing some service. Like I'm using what he's teaching,
Right.
and that's pretty similar to the majority of them. He's the only one that literally like I've exchanged cash, but at the same time, I'm getting a service from him. So I'm going through his branding service with one of my internal brands. So by the time the event rolls around, I can talk about, okay, well, I've also gone through Ree's process or his his service, and we used it, and it was freaking awesome. And so he's talking about his experience, and I can at least share from that perspective. No one else is like that. Everybody else, they are doers, and they're there to talk because what they do is so valuable that their interest in the event is to stimulate potential sales for their services, and they provide a valuable service to this audience group.
The reason I brought it up is because I would love to make that part of the focus for one of these articles is say, hey, look, you've been there, right? You've been to TNC, you've been to all these different events that are chock full of people getting paid to come talk at you.
Yep.
This is a cocktail party that's weekend long where we encourage this type of atmosphere. Oh, and by the way, nobody here is getting paid. These speakers aren't here to collect a check. They're here to deliver value and connect with you, right?
Yeah.
More personal. So if I can say that unilaterally, because you frame this one particular example as I use his service, right? That's great. If you can tell me, hey, the rest of the speakers don't get paid, that is, in my mind, one of the bigger differentiating factors that we can leverage.
Well, I can honestly say that about him too. I paid him for his service. I did not pay him. The invoice says for his branding service. So I paid him, and that's what we're doing.
I just wanted to make sure you were comfortable with that approach. Because I think that's an important distinction that people need to be made aware of.
I mean, it's big. I mean, I was just this past weekend with John Lee Dumas from Entrepreneur on Fire, and he was jokingly making a comment. He goes, I don't show up for less than 20 grand to speak.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I get it, but at the same time, that shouldn't be your standard. Like, you won't even consider something unless someone's dropping 20 G's in your pocket.
Yeah.
Sometimes you've got to be able to try and, be able to do everything. And those, I'll be honest, I see that a lot from people that don't have kids sometimes because they're like trying not to adjust this world for a better place to be able to help others so we all grow together. Yeah,
no, that's a good point. So I think one other differentiator for us from the others is we're like everyone's doers. Like the event attracts large brands that are somewhat unknown from a branding perspective, but they are moving and shaking. So the attendees are stacked. It's not like TNC and Affiliate Summit where it's a cheap ticket price where people just show up and they're just like hanging out. Like it costs money. It's an investment to get to Aspen. It's the richest city in the country. It's a $1,400 ticket. It'll cost people $300 a night to stay for per night. You're going to stay at least 3 nights, so it's $1,000 right there. Right. It's an exclusive, an elite experience for companies that are doing well.
I'm glad you brought that up because that is a great thing to kind of separate. It's the same thing with like social events here in Austin and other cities that we've all attended these events. Like you get the bottom feeders who attend the freebie or the cheap little like social happy hours, and that's why we actually just
our events.
Just had this conversation with David Gonzalez recently. It's like he's been upping his IMP prices because you get a whole bunch of bottom feeders who are like, oh, I'll just pay $20 or whatever. So he's kicked it up to $50 a month now to attract like quality people, and it's also thinned out those people that are just looking to stick a business card in their hand and give you a bullshit pitch.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought that up because I would like to focus on that as well.
Because I don't want to waste my time talking to someone if they're not implementers. At the same point, right? I mean, that's what I love that you're saying there is we only bring in people that are implementers, that are doers, that are going to take this to the next level. Because if we're all going to come together, I don't want to spend half my time, like he said, at IMP. I mean, I used to do I'd have 150 people come out to my free events. And then when I'd be like, all right, cool. Well, I'm covering drinks. Let me do, it's going to be $20 to start coming to these events. Whoa. Yeah. I'm like, are you kidding?
Yeah, I know.
All right, screw this. I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yep. So you mentioned something else that spurred a thought for me. So back to the sponsors and the companies that are showing up. This is another differentiator between us and some of the other shows, is that because they are paying, and in fact, they're paying good money to be there. They're incentivized to, like, obviously not be bottom feeders as well. So we don't have any sponsors that just show up and buy tickets. Like if they can't just show up and buy a ticket and then be suitcasing. Like, we've got a very strict anti-suitcasing policy. I'm going to make publicly humiliating for a company that shows up that isn't sponsoring the event, and will like forcefully push them out of the event. And literally to make a point, because if their company's not willing to promote the cause, the mission, the community, then what right have they to show up to start selling their services, at the most bargain basement dollar, because they're not willing to put in another $2,500 or $5,000 to get a table, or to sponsor a happy hour or that sort of thing. Like, we only have companies that are pitching in to make the event just magnificent.
How many sponsors for this year do you guys have? Just so I can get like a rough estimate.
We've got like 44 now. We'll probably end up somewhere like between 50 and 75.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Cool. All right, let's kind of look around. I mean, we've talked a little bit about it, but I want to make sure we put this in the recording. So, outside of just what it does for other people, why does AdSum excite you?
So AdSum is missing a void for me. So when I got into the industry, there was no place for me to share my own like challenges. I couldn't ask people for help. There was no built-in community for anyone else that was going through the journey that I was also going through as an owner of a brand, as an owner of an internet marketing company. So it's scratching an itch for me and creating a community that never existed before, and outside of what I do still doesn't exist. So it was really filling a void for me. Like, I've come from industries that are very well established, very mature, and have built-in communities, like real estate, for instance. Right. The consulting world, like, those areas, very mature. They've got a tremendous amount of communities built in. Realtors have communities, investors have communities, flippers, wholesalers, rehabbers, lease option guys. Like, you talk about real estate, everyone who's doing any technique in real estate, like apartment guys, commercial guys, they all have their own communities, and they're huge. And you can go to those, even if, whether you're new or not, but you can go to those different events, those different communities, and actually learn from the people who are doing it now. Not where they're just pitching you guru courses, but right. Literally, be sitting next to somebody in a bar, and they tell you about this new way that they accept credit card payments for customers that have prepaid credit cards, that before maybe you never even accepted prepaid credit cards. And as a part of listening to that conversation, you decide to, okay, I'm going to go ahead and take prepaid credit cards, and that result into $250,000 worth of revenue for you for over the course of the next 3 years. That's literally a case study for me. Somebody shared with me their strategy about how they accepted prepaid credit cards, and up until then, I declined them. I forced a decline, said, no, I don't want a prepaid credit card. And because I'm on a subscription, and most time you think, well, if you're on a subscription, you don't want to have a prepaid credit card. But you know what? I made it work, and it makes a good, healthy, bit of cash. I was able to work out specifically with my traffic provider that I wasn't paying them for the conversion cost, and they saw it as a dead lead anyways, but I turned it into value for me. They were happy because it helps my credit card processing. It helps, maintain stable flow of manufacturing and shipping. And so that's a specific case example of a case study that I did a couple of years ago and made me $250,000. And those little tips are occurring at these events all the time, and that's really the magic of what people are getting by coming to the event. Is they're getting to network with other people who are doing well, and they're doing things a little bit differently than the actual individual. So you're able to glean those type of tips and stuff here and there just sitting in the audience. So that's why the war rooms were so popular, is because a lot of times guys would find value in the dude sitting next to him, even maybe more so than the speaker.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, I love that you're honest about it, because a lot of people go, "Oh, I'm doing this for the rest of the world," and you're going straight and going, "Look, I had a void. I need to fill it. I created it myself, and I took advantage of it, and this is what turned out because I did this." So
Yep.
that's pure honesty, but going through their authenticity about what happens. And if it's this is where people forget, if you have an idea or you have a thought or you have a need, usually you're not alone. So if it's something that's showing up in your business and in your life, 100% it's going to show up in multiple other people across this world at the same point. And if you can figure out how to fix it for yourself, you're going to be able to fix it for them at the same point.
Yep. Another big difference between us and the other events out there is we have an online perpetual community. So we have a Slack community. So people before the event and after the event, they log in and they're constantly in contact with the other attendees, and in some cases with the paid sponsors. So throughout the year, because a year's a long time in between events, there's a lot of magic that happens. That's one way that we engage with people, and they're in there troubleshooting and talking and shooting the shit and working through problems. And hey, I saw this problem. Are you guys seeing this? Or I'm getting a whole bunch of click fraud from Google. Or you guys see this sort of stuff too? Or hey, I'm having some credit card processing problems with this company. Do you guys have that same issue? And people are troubleshooting and solving each other's problems through this community all year long.
I'm assuming you guys have a private attendees only Facebook page.
We do. Yep, we've got a Facebook group for them too.
Good. Yeah. That's something that isn't common, that I've only seen maybe a handful of times with mostly the smaller mastermind style.
Right. We didn't even do a Bay Bathwater. I mean, we're talking about a very, great, good group there. And, unless you actually go on to, they just changed it now. Because, we work with them. But the only way I was able to convince Lovitch to go in there was it's on you have to be part of your yearly, monthly subscription to get into the group.
Yeah.
One that's dropping the 5+ G's on the one event, there's no group for them.
I give it to them for free. I've thought about doing the paid monthly membership too, like $100 a month or something like that. But we haven't done it yet. We might. That's kind of where I see too. I've already started as such a premium event that unlike what DG does for Internet Marketing Party, that is dirt cheap to get in. I for sure raise the price, and if there's some kind of a monthly thing, that would make a whole lot of sense. But for my group, I figured I would start at it for free, grow it, let it bubble, and then slap on a fee, and then let it contract a little bit, and then grow that a little bit. That's been kind of my 3-year plan. So I wasn't going to force the issue right now, but people get a lot of value out of that. I mean, and that converts a lot of sales into my event, because they're around everybody. They want to get together with everybody again. It's more than me just pitching them on what the event is up to. They want to meet the person that has been helping them, that's been talking to them for 6 or 8 months, that they've never actually met face to face.
I love that, man. I mean, because Nate, I look at that the same way, because it's like breathing, right? You're not just going to keep on taking in air and then you're going to keep expanding. It has to expand and decompress back and forth to be a living, breathing organism. So that's the way that you're doing with AdSum, and how you see that vision of growing it. It's look, it's got to be a breathing thing. It's going to expand. It's going to contract. But that's how it lives. That's how it evolves. That's not, if you just breathe in as much air as you can, eventually you're going to explode.
and I had to change course, from last year's topics versus this year's topics. So the group was really created around the free trial continuity industry, people who are selling supplements, vitamins, whatever it is. And that was kind of the primary target audience for the event, and because that's what I did. And over the course of the last year, I've been evolving and changing more towards a branded approach and selling things just on straight sale. And there's a big rush now, I think, for people to evolve towards that as well, because there's a lot of regulators and state attorney generals and stuff that, man, they're not so happy on negative option and trial continuity type billing. So they chase down those companies and they sue them into oblivion, and that's a fear that even if you're doing things completely compliant and you're providing a good service and you're shipping a great product, you still have that stink around you that you could be compromised because of a stereotype. And I think that's a big shift in vision focus this year that I've gotten a ton of positive feedback. Almost every guy I've talked with, they got into the business because they were chasing money, and they thought they were going to get a much healthier portion of cash than they ended up getting. They come to find out they've only got a 10, 15, maybe 20% profit margin. And they've got all of this risk associated with the billing model that is under attack by the FTC, the FDA, state attorney generals. So now they're in this position where they're not getting paid the money that they thought they were going to get. They're taking more risk than affiliate networks, or anyone else in the industry, because they are, where the money's deposited. It gets deposited into their bank account, so everyone looks at them like they're the big high roller, and they are creating business practices around an unsustainable business model. So now, and the big shift I've done this year is I've created all this and brought in all these guys to give them content to help them make that shift from just selling things, which is super easy to do through affiliate marketers, and just gobble up cash, but money's coming in the door and then going right back out the door. Instead, apply a little bit of your resources to building something that's sustainable, changing your billing model to a contract model. Don't let it go on forever. Maybe just have it go on for 3 or 4 months. Charge them more up front. You get a better clientele. Do some welcome mat marketing. So maybe you give them, free product up front plus shipping, and then you market them into continuity. And you do that through, good sound email practices. You use Facebook Messenger. You use social media. Bring Harry and Roland, and they're going to come talk about kind of how the digital marketer team, how those guys have done it, and
right.
give them some examples because they've come from that world too.
One of the interesting things, I'm glad you brought it up, because I was talking to Babak a couple of weeks ago, and it's like one of those things, California, even Beachbody got hit with a negative action, I think it was like $11 million suit.
Huge issue.
Right? And it's like, if that can happen to them, nobody's fucking safe, right?
Everybody's on high alert. Yeah, absolutely. You're 100% right.
I think that's great that you've already begun that transition over to a new vision, because I've sold stuff on that model before, and it's getting more and more difficult every month, every year, to do it ethically and to do it successfully, because the problem, like you said, is there's just this insane flow of money, always going out, and It's not what people thought it was. It's not how it was 5 years ago. It's not even how it was 2 years ago. So if you can't adapt and evolve, then you're going to fall behind and get left. So
you can't hide in the internet anymore.
Yeah.
You can't. And if you're selling a product that instigates a tremendous amount of negativity or creates just enough complaints that escalate and that keep bubbling up, then you're doomed to fail. You can't sustain that. If you're not managing your reputation, your angry customers are.
Right. Well, dude, that kind of takes us into the last final. I want to put a bow on this. I don't want to take up too much of your time, brother. What's your number one vision, not only just for AdSum, but for the people that attend AdSum?
So my vision is that through community, we can evolve ourselves and our own business to achieve the success that we all dreamed about when we first had dollars in our eyes and saliva in our mouth, when we looked at the world of the internet and the possibilities that it contained therein.
Okay. I like it. Peter, any other polls that you want to kind of?
I think we've covered enough for
These two.
Yeah, at least these two, and obviously we have the recording, so Josh and I will obviously talk it over. I'm stoked to rock this for you, brother. I love what I'm hearing. I love the fact that you're approaching it in a straightforward and transparent, ethical manner. Obviously, those are things that's everyone should market ethically, but then it's easy to elevator pitch big swing when you're talking to someone, just like you would at any like standard networking event, it's like, oh yeah, we did this much in rev, and it's like that's the constant joke, right? Oh yeah, you did 20 mil in rev. Okay, well what? You had a 3% margin because your overhead and expenses were insane and your spend was out of control.
Yep.
Tell me about how much of a baller you are, because it sounds like you fucked up. Right?
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm a pretty understated guy. It's just, being in the public and being in the limelight is actually something it's an evolution for me. So I didn't imagine that to be my lot in life when I started this. And really I'm the leader of this because I just listened to the other people around me and I tried to help them with their problems. And then when I had problems, I would ask them, for feedback as well. And I just created a positive space where I just started to gather people around. So I became leader kind of through default because I was the only one that was cultivating this, and I was planting these seeds, and I was watering them, and I was spending time with everybody, and then all of a sudden as these plants start to grow, and I've coached and mentored a number of these guys from nothing to where they're doing stuff now, and they look at me kind of like as a mentor role, and it's not that I necessarily like or dislike that. It's just that's where I am right now, and I like to continue to help them, but only if it is true to my own direction. And I literally I went through a period of time after the previous event thinking did I build all this just to shut it all down because I'm pivoting, I'm going in a different direction? And it was through a really good conversation with Yannick Silva. He's like, no, just be honest about where you're pivoting, and the people who want to come with you will come. And the people who you didn't know before that are waiting for you in the space you're headed towards will welcome you with open arms as well.
Yeah, Yannick's always been really good at that, man. It's he changed my life many years ago as well. So I feel you on that, dude. This is awesome. Excited about getting these first 2 articles going. The biggest thing is there someone on your team that you want us to connect with that handles your email and social campaigns, so we can make sure that once the articles are done, they're implemented and distributed on the right time schedules and all that kind of thing?
I would love a recommendation. We just let go of our email guy, and we're in between hiring somebody. So if you've got a suggestion, I use ActiveCampaign for my system right now.
Why don't you just last pass us? I mean, this is what we do. Come in for companies, brother. I mean, this is our LinkedIn thing is what we do to be able to help people out, but that gives us, we as an entrepreneur, we go in and help on the direct response, the email, the funnel. That's our main gig. The LinkedIn piece is just one part of it to be able to see what someone's doing, and then we get look, here's a couple of things. Here's what we need to do. Here's the different changes. So let us just go through, and we'll kick it off with this. I'll have Peter send you an email on what kind of last pass access he needs for the different pieces, and we'll get it all set up for you and rock it.
All right, man. Sounds good to me.
All right. Anything else you need to know from us?
When you guys save the recording, do you send it to rev.com or Scribey to get it transcribed?
Yeah.
Could I get a copy of the transcription for my record too?
100%, my friend. And like I said, I'll send you a copy of the video. I've got the video, audio. That's the good thing about Zoom. It shoots it all out, and we'll have it transcribed and over to you at the same point.
Killer.
All right, brother. Take care, and we'll be back with you soon, all right?
Sounds good.
All right.
See you, Nick.
Bye.